Happening now, the latest on a fatal plane crash in Cattaraugus County, plus the charges against two area parents accused of letting their teen fight a 12-year-old.
Well, we could be near record warmth today. How warm are we going to get this afternoon? We'll talk about it in detail next. The news starts now.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
One person died during a small plane crash in Cattaraugus County yesterday afternoon. Thanks for joining us for WNY News Now. I'm Justin Gould. The Cattaraugus County Sheriff Timothy Whipcomb telling the Olean Times-Herald that an eyewitness first observed the plane having trouble taking off moments before it came crashing down near the Great Valley Airport. The sheriff telling that newspaper one man who has not been identified yet died and another was seriously injured. He says the victim was airlifted to a Buffalo area hospital with burns to his face and hands. It's unclear how many people were on the plane at the time of the crash. Tara Keeley, an eyewitness who spoke with our news partners, says after living across from the runway for more than 2 decades, it's easy to tell when something is wrong, and she says it was clear there was a problem right after takeoff.
This guy was very low. I didn't notice any smoke. I didn't notice any sputtering engines, but he took a hard banking left and went wing first into the ground and then just collapsed.
Now, the airstrip is located near Route 219 in Great Valley, just south of Salamanca. The NTSB is now leading the investigation there. When we get more information, we'll update you here and online at WNYNewsNow.com. Well, 2 parents and their 18-year-old son are facing charges after an assault of a 12-year-old in the village of Celeron this week. The town of Ellicott police telling us 35-year-old Thomas Stingle, 33-year-old Shelley Stingle, and 18-year-old Corey Stingle were arrested on Tuesday. Police allege that Thomas and Shelley Stingle drove their 3 children, 2 juveniles and the 18-year-old, to an address on East Lake Street in the village to fight a 12-year-old. Police allege Corey Stingle and a juvenile male assaulted the youth. The family was not at the scene when officers arrived. Arrest warrants were later issued for the 3 Stingles, who were located in Falconer and charged of assault of conspiracy and 2 counts of endangering the welfare of a child. Now, the 3 were taken to Chautauqua County Jail and held prior to arraignment. Police say the 12-year-old suffered a black eye. Well, today, President Joe Biden will lay out his first part of his plan for gun control with 6 executive actions in the works. Britt Conway breaks down each of those and has a look at what's next.
I don't need to wait another minute, let alone an hour, to take common sense steps that will save the lives in the future.
It's a commitment President Joe Biden made after the recent mass shootings in Atlanta and in Boulder. The White House says Biden will lay out 6 initial actions today. First, a rule tightening restrictions on so-called ghost guns, which are handmade or self-assembled firearms that don't have serial numbers. Second, a rule restricting pistol stabilizing braces, which make weapons more stable and accurate. Third, suggesting red flag legislation for states, laws that allow family or police to have the court temporarily take guns away from people who might hurt themselves or others. Fourth, money for community violence interventions. Fifth, an annual report on firearms trafficking. And sixth, nominating a gun control advocate to lead the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, David Chipman. Take a listen to what he had to say in 2019 on weapons regulations.
My time as a federal law enforcement officer taught me that although all weapons can be dangerous in the wrong hands, some weapons are particularly lethal and should be more strictly regulated.
From here, it's up to the Justice Department, which has between 30 and 60 days to write the rules for ghost guns and stabilizing braces, and the suggested red flag laws. I'm Britt Conway, reporting.
Britt, thank you. Well, the White House says today's announcement is just the beginning. From here, they say the plan is to apply pressure on lawmakers for further action on more sweeping measures like a ban on assault weapons and universal background checks. Now, friends, family members, and other Jamestown officials gathered more than 2 hours yesterday to celebrate the life of Councilwoman Vicki James. Councilwoman at Large Tamu Graham Reinhardt spoke during the service at the Emmanuel Baptist Church here in Jamestown. She says she's known James for many years prior to their joint service on the council, as James helped her start a vision of Soul Train at JCC when she was 13. Graham Reinhardt says that James taught her a person can be a leader and an innovator, no matter how young or old they are.
Never think that you're too young or too old, or that you don't have the skills and the talents, because God has blessed us all with something that we can do. And I have enjoyed the time that I had with her on council, but I knew her before. When I first went back to Jamestown, she called me and said, "Will you be on my board for the city youth bureau?" And had it not been for Vicki, I wouldn't have made it from the youth bureau to the United Way and to a seat on city council. And so you never know when somebody's going to touch your life and steer you in a direction that's going to put you in a place where you never thought you would ever be. And so I want to thank the family for sharing Vicki with the community.
Now, James's daughter is now calling on the community to rally together and continue the work that her mother did to better the city of Jamestown. Well, we thank you for joining us for WNY News Now as we get a check of some local news headlines this half hour. Let us know what you think about these stories and more in the comments down below. We'd love to hear from you. It's great to see Ed, good to see Joshua, good to see Aaron, Connie, Nathan, and Brooke as well. Hopefully you all are getting out and enjoying some of this beautiful weather out there. Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter joining us live in studio now to talk more about that. And it was so gorgeous last night, and it's only preluding a even better day today.
I mean, today is really going to be the best day of the week and some of the best weather we have had in quite a long time. Now, Justin, this was your view in Randolph last night, and I love you can actually see some of the streaks from the cloud cover there, and also the sun going down last night. So again, if you have any pictures or videos of the weather, Hunters WX on Twitter, the First Defense weather page on Facebook, and use that hashtag MyLocalWX. That's how we see them in the weather office, and we can obviously put them on the air. But look at the temperatures over the past 7 days. It's been from winter to spring to summer, and that's where we're living right now. It's the summertime blues, Alan Jackson, and that's kind of where we're going to be for today and tomorrow. We're already up to 72 as a noon hour at the Jamestown Airport. South wind of 9. That southerly wind, we often tell you, is a key component that helps to warm you up, that southerly wind, and the dew point relatively low at 49. So through the afternoon, just take a snapshot of the weather, because it's absolutely picture perfect. A hot April day, 74 on the hills, spots near the Lake Erie shoreline, 80, 81, 82, not out of the question. Southeast wind 7 to 16. Now, we do get into some few rain showers tomorrow. Then, yeah, you can say goodbye to the 70s. They're gone. But we'll talk about it in detail with that 42 degrees and sunny 7-day forecast later in the show, Justin.
It'd be interesting to see if we have record-breaking weather today, Dakota. I know
we'll talk about that in the full weather segment as well.
I don't want to steal your thunder, but I know that it could be close. So
close.
You'll let us know. Well, Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen is still debating whether to get the COVID-19 vaccine, and he believes the decision should be left to a personal choice. Allen shared his views during an hour-long interview on the Ringer podcast hosted by Kyle Brandt yesterday, where he was asked about the NFL not mandating its players to get vaccinated.
Everybody should have that choice. Whether you think you should do it or you shouldn't do it, that's your own beliefs. And if you want to do it to protect you and your family, do it by all means. And again, if you're on the other side of the spectrum too, I believe you should have that choice as well.
Now, Allen's comments come at a time when President Joe Biden pushed up the deadline to April 19th for states to make all adults eligible for vaccines, while warning Americans the nation is not out of the woods yet when it comes to the pandemic. Now, at the NFL level, the league is planning to eliminate some restrictions from its current COVID protocols for vaccinated players, coaches, and personnel. Among the elements that could be cut are the need to participate in daily testing, quarantine periods due to close contact with an infected individual, and or refraining from social gatherings among other vaccinated persons. Well, a growing number of states, including New York, are coming forward with their own plan to use so-called COVID-19 vaccine passports. As Nadia Romero reports for us, although there's no federal plan to implement any kind of passport system nationwide, the issue is raising both equity and security concerns.
COVID-19 digital vaccine passports quickly becoming a divisive issue and raising privacy concerns. And as some states figure out how to implement them, tech giants are teaming up with health organizations to make their digital COVID pass a reality for consumers.
This is a way for people to get back to our new normal in a safe way.
The Vaccination Credential Initiative has teamed up companies including IBM, Microsoft, Salesforce, and Oracle with the Mayo Clinic and the Commons Project, a nonprofit with the Vaccine Passport app currently working with some airlines.
You get your vaccination or you have your COVID-19 test, you're negative. If you have a smartphone, you download it onto your Apple Wallet or your Google Pay and you store it in there.
But not everyone is on board. While the companies say no location or medical data will be stored on the apps, that concern might raise concerns for potential users. There's also equity concerns.
Fred, not everybody has a smartphone. I have lots of patients with flip phones, with those little burner phones.
The Vaccination Credential Initiative is playing a key role in developing U.S. standards and guidelines for these digital health passes, and says it's up to each community and institution to decide how to use the apps.
I think some employers are making a decision to require vaccination, and I think the EEOC issued a ruling in December that is up to employers to be able to make that decision.
For Consumer Watch, I'm Nadia Romero.
Nadia, very interesting, thank you. Last month, New York launched their own version of the app known as the Excelsior Pass, which state leaders say aim to fast-track the reopening of businesses and entertainment venues statewide. Next, hear the latest in a plea of a Jamestown drug trafficking case, and later, good news for youth hunters here in New York. Stay with us as WNY News Now continues.
With coverage that matters. This is WNY News Now.
Honest John's has what you're looking for. When you want it good, we're gonna give you lots more.
From freshly made subs to the best of pizza and wings, Honest John's has what you're looking for. And now 2 great locations, East 2nd Street and Fairmount Avenue. Order takeout or delivery today online at honestjohns.pizza.
You're gonna get it good at Honest John's.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
A 28-year-old Jamestown woman has pled guilty to trafficking methamphetamine in the Jamestown area. The U.S. Attorney's Office saying Kylie Reeves pleaded guilty to conspiring to possess with intent to distribute and distributing 50 grams or more of methamphetamine in a Buffalo courtroom yesterday. Reeves was previously arrested after Jamestown police executed a search warrant of code in place. It's alleged the woman worked with a co-defendant, Rocco Beardsley, to sell the drugs locally. Beardsley, who prosecutors say managed that operation, controlled the supply and set the prices. Reeves was indicted along with 6 others back in October. She's the first to be convicted in this case. The charge carries a mandatory minimum penalty of 10 years in prison, a maximum of life, and a $10 million fine. Well, New York will spend billions of dollars of federal funds over the next year on schools and relief for struggling businesses, tenants, and landlords under a spending plan that the legislature passed yesterday. Governor Andrew Cuomo held a briefing on the state's $212 billion budget. although full details of that agreement have not been made public yet, and it hasn't yet been formally passed and signed. Officials from the governor's office say the final budget accomplishes some major legislative priorities, including a first-in-the-nation plan to make broadband internet affordable, legalize mobile sports betting, and implement comprehensive nursing home reforms as well.
So what we're saying to the for-profit nursing homes, we want the money that gets paid to you either from the state or from the family, we want that money going to patient care and patient services. So we're capping the profit that they can make at a for-profit nursing home at 5%. Everything else has to go into the nursing home and the care of the patient.
Additionally, state officials say the enacted budget closes the deficit and invests in the ongoing response to the pandemic and recovery efforts. However, not everyone was in agreement. State Senator George Borrello telling us the tax hike will hurt some small businesses. Well, the Derek Chauvin murder trial enters its 9th day of witness testimony for the prosecution as they seek to convict the former Minneapolis police officer for the death of George Floyd. Daryl Forges with more on how both sides are focusing now on pinpointing the exact cause of Floyd's death.
30 witnesses have testified so far in the trial of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin, including several members of law enforcement.
I'm currently a senior special agent with the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension.
On Wednesday, a significant moment in the court as the defense pressed the senior special agent who led the investigation into George Floyd's death. He was shown a clip of police body cam video of Floyd saying something as Chauvin kneeled on him.
Did you hear that? Yes, I did. Did it appear that Mr. Floyd said, "I ate too many drugs"? Yes, it did.
But when the prosecution played a longer clip of that video, Special Agent James Ryerson clarified what he heard.
You're able to tell what Mr. Floyd is saying there? Yes, I believe Mr. Floyd was saying, "I ain't do no drugs."
The testimony coming as both sides focus on the exact cause of Floyd's death, the prosecution laying the blame squarely on Chauvin's use of force.
And the pressure that was being caused by the body weight could cause positional asphyxia, which could cause death.
The defense arguing Floyd's health and drug use were responsible. An attorney for Floyd's family says the defense's argument is just a distraction.
It's an argument. It doesn't take away from the fact that the use of force here was excessive and it turned out to be deadly.
In Minneapolis, I'm Daryl Forges.
Daryl, thank you. Floyd's death sparked outrage last year, both nationally and here locally, with protests and calls for police reform, something the state did last year with reform plans created by local governments. Well, SUNY JCC plans to resume in-person classes this fall. The college's president announced the news, citing positive momentum with the COVID-19 vaccine becoming more widely available to the general public. Now, as part of the reopening plan, all resident halls will be accepting students. The college says they also aim to resume athletic events, club activities, and academic out-of-class experiences in accordance with health and safety protocols. The plan is contingent on health and safety guidelines set forth by the SUNY school system, local, state, and federal health recommendations as well. SUNY JCC shifted to remote operations back in March last year and began the current academic year in August using a flexible instructional format that has included both online, hybrid, and in-person courses. Certainly exciting for a lot of kids and young adults, really, to get back to school in person. Let us know what you think about these stories and more in the comments down below. It's great to see Ed, good to see Christine, Stacy, Amber, and Ron as well. Hopefully you all are having a good day. And I know one thing, Dakota, that when we hear of students getting back into the classroom at the collegiate level, WNY News Now has a proud partnership with several local colleges to get interns into our newsroom. And I can tell you from working with several of our interns firsthand, virtually, it has been an absolute success, really. Still being able to have something. It's not quite the experience of chasing down breaking news in person, but nevertheless, they get to report and write,
but
which
you
is
see,
a big
the
part of
good
the
news
job.
about having the virtual interns this year is the fact that, they don't have a 20-something-year-old fat weather guy coming up to them and talking their heads off about weather for 45 minutes.
Yeah, there's always that warning. It's a good warning. We love your knowledge of weather, but you send someone into the weather office to talk to Dakota, and you can go on and on all day. I mean, it's your passion, right? I can talk about news all day, probably.
You see, I'm just a grumpy old man.
No,
You see,
that's not true. That's not true at all. You're a very knowledgeable weather guy who has a lot to share. And I always secretly, I don't know if I want to say this, but I'm going to. It's going to bite me.
Uh-oh.
You're probably going to hate me. I always tell the interns, I'm going to introduce you to Dakota, our weather guy. But just be warned that if you ask him about the weather or talk about a certain weather subject, he will go on and on and on.
Yes, because I have a lot to say on so many different subjects. But the good news is they limit me to 3 minutes. So my 3 minutes.
Here we go.
Start
now. Wait. I gotta hit go on the Apple Watch.
So let's go.
Boom. Here we go.
Now, there we go. So let's talk about. But you definitely could use a drink here. Look at the rainfall deficit since the beginning of the year at 2.87, but only since the beginning of March, 1.9 inches is the rainfall deficit since the beginning of March. So over half of our yearly rainfall deficit has came within the past month. It is unbelievably how dry it is around here. And as we hinted during the first weather portion here, we could be chasing a record. The forecast high for today for the city is 79. The record is 83, set in 1991. Are we going to flush this 83? It's a stretch. I personally don't think so, but we'll see where we end up by the end of the day. Again, we're already up into the 70s as a noon hour right now. So why has it been so sunny around here recently? Well, it has to do with high pressure that's basically in control of our weather. High pressure is sinking air, and the air is dry down at the surface. So every time you have sinking air, high pressure, that means you're going to see a lot of sunshine. And that is actually shown here in the zone forecast. This is going to be the warmer spot today. It's a very unusual weather setup we have. Usually the Lake Erie shoreline stays cooler. Well, we have a south to southeast wind, so that's going to push the warmer air closer to the Lake Erie shoreline. So Erie, maybe 82 degrees there, maybe also the same thing in Dunkirk. Summer is here 2 months early. Now the inland areas will stay a little bit cooler, but still very nice and warm. The computer is going about 80 in Jamestown again. I don't know if we'll officially hit 80, but I do think we'll get very close to that 80 degrees as we go through the afternoon. We have an East Coast omega block. That's the Greek letter omega. And we have high pressure right here that's splitting two storm systems, this one and this one right off the coast right here. And this is what's called reg blocking, or basically this is high pressure blocking. So that's part of the reason why it's been so sunny, but this high is going to move out and we're going to see some rain showers coming in on Friday. So future scan paints that idea for you. Nothing through the day, a nice sun and cloud mix. Now the clouds will start to increase as we go through the overnight tonight, and you see a few showers popping up here. And again, it's not going to be a total washout overnight tonight, and especially tomorrow, not a washout, but it's going to be on again, off again type of rain showers as we go through the day on Friday. And then on Saturday, the weather should turn a little bit better going on Saturday, and I think you're going to like that. How about the future? It's coming up right now, brought to you by 42 degrees and sunny, 70 tomorrow. Just a chance for those few scattered showers. Another hot day coming up on Saturday, 76 and a good amount of sunshine. A few more rain showers Sunday, 68, scattered showers on Monday. And then we trend cooler as we go into next week with a few isolated showers possible each day. Why don't we take a break and be right back?
And for the record, that was exactly 3 minutes.
Woohoo! I hit it. First Defense Weather is sponsored by 42 Degrees and Sunny, smokin' deals on smoking accessories. Learn more at 42degreesandsunny.com. That's 42degreesandsunny.com.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor.
Testicular cancer is the leading form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35.
1 in 250 men will be diagnosed with testicular cancer.
But 98% will survive if detected early.
As a survivor, I believe early detection is the key.
Learn how to do a testicular self-exam and other important facts about testicular cancer at oneball4tc.com.
It's not just what we say, it's what we do.
Local first. It isn't just our slogan. It's our mindset every single day. So whether you're watching our daily live streams or staying up to date with reports on our website and mobile app, you'll always see the same attention to detail from reporters who passionately care about our community, who have one goal in mind: to always put the facts first.
For me, it's more than just getting the forecast right. What I love the most about my job is that I come into work every day to help break down the weather, letting people know how this is going to impact their day. We take pride that First Defense Weather is the only local weather team in the Southern Tier. We don't just copy and paste our weather from outside sources. Every part of our forecast is handmade right here in-house, something our team really takes pride in.
What matters to you matters to us. Every story, every day. WNY News Now, where coverage comes first. With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
And welcome back to WNY News Now. Youth hunters in New York may soon be able to use a firearm or crossbow. The State Department of Environmental Conservation saying a provision included in the state budget allows residents ages 12 to 13 to hunt deer with a firearm or crossbow under the supervision of an experienced adult. The legislation requires each county to opt into the program by adopting a local law allowing 12 to 13-year-olds to hunt. The DEC says for nearly 2 decades, children ages 12 to 13 in New York have been safely hunting deer and bear with archery equipment and small game firearms. Up until now, New York was the only state that didn't allow 12 and 13-year-olds to hunt big game with firearms. Well, 2 stars of Duck Dynasty's series debuted their new reality show this week, created for a much smaller screen. Willie Robinson and his wife Corey are headlining a new series for Facebook, At Home with the Robertsons, premiered on Facebook Watch Monday. In it, the couple welcomes celebrity guests to their Louisiana home to discuss a variety of topics. The series will run for 8 weeks on Mondays and Thursdays. The Robinson family gained national attention through their show, Duck Dynasty, which ran for 11 seasons on A&E. The family did come under fire during that time, though, for past statements members made on subjects including race and religion. Well, any day is a good day to visit the zoo, but especially so on National Zoo Lovers Day. The day is used to encourage people to visit their local zoos. Make sure to post your pictures using the National Zoo Lover hashtag. I can't do it in person. No worries, there are plenty of virtual zoos and zoo webcams you can check out. Of course, you can always make a donation to observe the day. And here's a little fun fact. There are about 350 zoos in the United States, so that's definitely enough for everybody to visit. Well, we thank you for joining us for WNY News Now as we get a check of some headlines this afternoon. Let us know what you think about these stories and more in the comments down below. We love to hear from you. And I love zoos, Dakota. In fact, during the pandemic, I got hooked on the Animal Planet show called The Zoo. And it goes after the New York City zoo chain and, you know, the Bronx and various zoos within that area. And it really is incredible, some of the work that they've done. Most of the episodes were pre-COVID, but airing throughout the pandemic. And I mean, the animals are just so cute, and you get an awesome behind-the-scene look, so I'd recommend checking it out. I know we don't have a zoo in Jamestown, but Erie Buffalo Zoo, I mean, those are all great spots.
Well, you know, a lot of people have a thing against zoos, and hello.
There you go.
There we go.
We got you.
But, I mean, you know, a lot of people have a thing against zoos, but honestly, when you really get down to it...
in cages. They're trying to help them.
Right. I mean, you know, when you get down to it, you know, especially when you talk about, you know, zoos and aquariums, many cases the animals that are there sometimes are injured to the point where they can't go back out into the wilderness, where, you know, the animal might be susceptible because they'll be considered weak, because they might be injured for whatever the reason may be. So,
and I think one of the big things with the show, The Zoo, that I've been watching, is they try to really teach people how to respect the animals properly when they see them in the wild. They'll see them in the zoo and then see them in the wild. And one of the big things that they try to do is conservation. So when they have babies, they, in some cases, can get it so that those animals head back out to the wild. Maybe their parents can't, but they could when they become adult animals and are able to live on their own and start to rehab some of those populations. So it's really cool, and a lot of people maybe don't appreciate some of the work the zookeepers do, because it's like having a child, just like any sort of pet. So much work 24/7.
And it's a dangerous job too.
Yeah, in some cases.
Because I mean, some of those animals,
they'd eat you.
Yeah, I mean, they can be unpredictable. I mean, I know there's been instances where zookeepers and stuff have been injured or even killed by animals that just snap. So
we thank them for their work for sure. Well, that's going to do it for us today. News 24/7 at WNYNewsNow.com. We'll leave you with this live look over downtown Jamestown. Have a great day. Enjoy the beautiful sun out there.